Got it. Okay. So everyone else is going to listen to that recording. And today I wanted to talk about two things mainly. I wanted to go over the content of the mindset training for body transformation, plus high performance nutrition. We're not going to go over the nutrition part. I will be having a call like this with Heidi, the nutritionist, this Saturday, tomorrow. And once that interview get recorded, I'll share with everyone. That's gonna be sort of like a way to introduce people what the program is about. So today I wanted to do the first part of this call. Today I wanted to go over the content, and then second part of it, I wanted to go over the soul purpose map that you two might already know, but then the more I do things and I work with people, this soul purpose map can be applied to everything, to our own, daily life, to be more aware, and then to facilitate the session. And when the clients gets to a certain place, how to lead out of that situation, you can use this soul purpose map when you work with people, and then when you do consultation, this soul purpose map works. So it's a good map to navigate how you can drive the session and the sales process and everything, right? So the mindset training for body transformation is a collaboration with the nutritionist Heidi Dulay, who has a nutrition practice in Berkeley. Yeah, she was actually a professor at John F. Kennedy University that I went, who taught nutrition, and she's a graduate of both Stanford and Harvard, right? And her degree is in education. Even though she graduated from those two top universities, she is not to make any interpretation about the university. She's very sweet. I'm not saying that people who graduate those schools are not sweet, but you will never know that she went to those schools and graduated if we didn't get that information. So same as the other mindset training, the program is 8 weeks and then 4 modules, and then from us, mindset training part, as you saw on the module 1 is about changing internal self-image. And then what I have witnessed over the years is that people, do training and change the food, and then they might get the result temporarily, but then, a year later, I have saw people going back to the same sort of, body shape, right? I don't know how they're feeling or going back to the same place, because it's not like I was talking with them, but just from the way that I witness, right? And the reason for that is because the body has this like a thermostat, biological thermostat, that keeps us to go back to the same pattern. Unless you change that internal self-image, the body will wants to go back to the same place. And in the module, I'm talking about external self-image, the way that we want to be seen, the way that how we wear. But internal self-image, the best explanation of internal self-image is who you think you are not. And this is a kind of tricky sentence, right? Who you think you are not. And because I'm not Tiger Woods, or because I'm not Oprah Winfrey, you have a certain action or non-action or thoughts or not thinking about something because internally we don't think that we're that person, right? And so I had a in-person meeting with all the San Jose people, and then I just want to share one. This is not even a quote. It's a brief sentence that Earl Nightingale stated. I'm gonna send this as a follow-up email, but he said, "We tend to minimize the things we can do, the goals we can accomplish, and for some equally strange reason, we think other people can accomplish things that we cannot." And I want you to understand that that is not true. You have deep reservoir of talent and ability within you that you can bring to the surface and achieve all that you desire. So this is, you know, I don't know how you kind of just absorb it, but this kind of describe a lot of people. Like, because people have a limiting belief about themselves, they tend to think that, we tend to minimize the things we can do, but we think that others can, right? And then that's sort of like almost encoded in ourselves. And to help people get out of that assumption is about changing the self-image, internal self-image, because people have a certain perception and interpretation about themselves that actually holding them back, right? So the first session is about making people aware that that's happening. And every single mindset training session, it's good to think that you want to have a conversation at the beginning to increase understanding of the topic, because the reason that people are not aware about it is producing the result, right? So by making people understand, people become aware, right? And then we offer like a practice that they can implement. So it's not only in their head, but they can create a practice to, begin changing their subconscious. And then we want to usually leave people with homework so they can practice, right? And then based on your experience, because I want you to blend your own experience as much as possible, and you can read through the content and listen to, and then some of the people might have different aha moment, and then you can, emphasize on one thing a little bit more than the other. And then the reason that I don't usually say how exactly you want to lead is because every single person is completely different. And that's the beauty of it. But at the same time, the reason that we provide the mindset training manual in audio, the same content to everyone, is because at the essential level, people are struggling with the same thing. For instance, people have a certain internal self-image that's holding them back, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more about it when we get to the soul purpose map. So the first module is about educating people about self-image. And then the internal self-image, though, the mindset training, the first module of the mindset training was about determining your vision, right? Where you want to go. And the first module of the mindset training, determining your vision, and then first module of the body transformation, changing the internal self-image, we're using different language and concept, but the result is the same, because only when you change your internal self-image, you can get to the vision where you want to go, right? So, and then offer practices like, make people aware that who they think they are right now, right? On the left side. And then we want to have people determine who you want to become, right? And one of the reasons that we're not calling weight loss program is because this is stated in the manual that when people start thinking that I want to lose weight, they're almost denying their current weight. And then because your subconscious cannot hear the term not, you are focusing on the weight. So people want to change their body with usually two different reasons. They want to change their appearance, their look, and they want to change how they feel about it, right? So in the first session, we want to help people become super clear about what is it that they want. What's the body that they want? And then what's the internal feeling that they want? And have them select the picture. One person who I am working with in San Jose, she want to become J-Lo, right? So she has the J-Lo picture with her, right? And it's not like she wants to become J-Lo, but that's what pulls her. So in the imaginary world, she want to be imagining that that's herself, so she can get out of her current self-image. You can never outperform your self-image, but you can change it, right? So unless you change your self-image, you will go back to the same place. Yeah. And the second module of body transformation, which is actually my favorite module. It's about psychology of eating. And I think speaking with a lot of nutritionists who I met and then who I have kind of collaborated in the past, there are a lot of nutritionists who struggle with this. Like, nutritionists are now wanting to study psychology because I think that's what they're facing with the clients, not having result and the clients not implementing what they wanted to do, and basically just behavior change, right? So one of the things that I'm emphasizing in that module is that there's no such a thing as craving food, because we're always craving the emotion and the feeling that's associated with the food, right? And the how do I even say this? Like it's very simple. The body wants to be nourished, right? And if the body wants to be nourished, the body can be nourished through food, through environment, through love, through something that feels comfortable. And we have, the five senses, including the taste, and the body absorbs nutrients. But when we really cut our head off and then tune into what the body is experiencing, the body might not be wanting to select, I want this food to create that experience, or I want this person love to create this experience. It's all about equilibrium, right? The body just wants to balance, to feel like it's in the flow. So that's why it's important to identify the stress and all the lifestyle, like a relationship or sense of purpose and career, and in identifying all those and to make them aware that what is it that actually they're craving. Because when people crave, they want to be nourished, and then the more you tap into what is it that actually the body is seeking, you get to this topic of identity, right? So identity wants to be fed, right? To feel full. And then food became sort of like luxury, right? Food is highly personal. At the same time, food is almost like an avenue to create overall experience, right? It could be food bring people together, food makes people, like, especially like a Japanese food, right? Japanese sushi is like an art, right? We enjoy food not only for the sake of nutrition, but it's more than that. So we need to be aware of what is it that actually, the body is seeking. And it's also cultural, like, because I was born in Japan and I lived there and I grew up in Peru, Japanese food and Peruvian food are those places that I usually go because my deeper self remembers those feelings. And I think, for instance, if I have a miso soup, I feel like I'm with my family in Japan, right? So the taste gives you memory that already present within you. So it's not gonna be like, it's not as simple as that, but it's more comprehensive. So we want to be able to educate people from that place, and then what food means to them. What's the relationship between your clients and the food? And I think the goal that I would like to see is that, okay, like, we living in this so inefficient cycle, right? We are purchasing food that's toxic and making us, sick, and we go to a hospital and we take pill, right? But then things that we consume, food, is supposed to be medicine, nourishing, right? So how can we begin helping people to shift their perception of food as a medicine? And entertaining environment, bringing people together and enjoying is a medicine, right? So when we really begin helping people changing their perception of how to look at food and the relationship between themselves and the food, you can begin altering in the craving, because now we're understanding that we're not actually craving that food, but we're seeking balance. And when we are able to look at how we're balancing, how we're not balancing, we can find a solution for that particular person. I don't think I missed anything. Module 3 is about self-management, because you will meet with clients who are gonna tell you, I don't have time, and then you wanna tell them that remove that sentence from your life, out of your life, because the moment you say I don't have time, you're becoming a victim of your own life. Everyone has exactly the same amount of time, and it's all about priority and what you want. So often, there are a lot of people who are having a hard time saying no to people. That's something that we might need to begin educating if they really are serious about improving their health and lifestyle. And then, so module 3 is on week 5 and 6, right? And then usually I put this content in the actual mindset training, but usually the third module, week 5 and 6, is the time that people start slacking off with this. That's why I put the content of will. So one of the things that I wanted everyone to kind of implement in this, lesson is to begin practicing will, especially because right now the attention span is like 9 seconds for people, right? People get distracted with a lot of stuff. And then when you begin practicing elevating the capacity of will, you can begin being responsible for how you want to manage yourself, right? Instead of saying I don't have time and letting that responsibility to be carried by someone else. And practicing strengthening the will is very easy. Like you can even do like this, bringing your index fingers in front of you, and then focus on that index finger. And then while you're focusing on the index finger, you want to be thinking about a certain thing. And then notice how you get distracted. Or an example that I gave in the module is, okay, we have the cell phone that distracts us, right? But then the cell phone distracts us because we are not deciding what to do, what not to do, right? Because we're going with the flow. When it comes, we get distracted because we're reacting to the outside. But once you begin creating a system, for instance, like when I'm on doing this call, I'm not gonna touch my cell phone. Or people are, bombarded with the social media, right? You can decide to have a social media 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening. You use your social media for work, and then when you get distracted with someone else's post, I'm gonna be allowed to be distracted by only one post, but not more than 2. So you wanna begin deciding what you wanna do and what you wanna avoid, and then begin practicing that to get distracted. So you wanna kind of assign something that works well for each individual. And then when you begin practicing strengthening the will, you will be more responsible to manage yourself instead of, saying I don't have time. And then the goal of every mindset training is for us to leave the clients with creating a habit, transformational habit. So module 4 is all about reviewing what we have done and then identifying what's working, what's not working, and begin creating a body transformation habit that works for them to continue to pursue the journey. Because changing the body take a certain amount of time, they will get some kind of result within 8 weeks, but depending on who you get, they might need longer. Then they have to continue to have that habit that they can do on their own. And then if someone asks you that what's after the end of the program, and if they still wanna work with you, we can do a regular, one-by-one mindfulness session, which I usually like to offer with a series of 6, but we don't need to, because they already have this material, so they can repeat it, but then you can come to do coaching to course correct. Yeah. So that's the whole content, and you wanna begin by checking in with people and then offer a strong understanding of each module and then explain where we are coming from. Second part, we wanna be able to have a practice that they can implement so they can absorb it instead of just thinking about it. And we wanna leave them with practice. And I think the juice of this mindset training series is that the repetition, right? And the reason that I wanted to create an audio is because audio is easier to repeat, right? And then some people might be more reading persons, some people might be writing, and then they can even say it, right? So if you read and write and say and listen, you're using all 4 avenues to bring in new information. So we ask people to listen to the audio minimum 3 times per week, per day actually. And if they want to read and then write and do the exercise, they will only get a benefit. And at the first session, we want to really not convince, but emphasize that the knowing doing gap. Okay, if you read the content one time, you might have understood it, but that doesn't mean that you will be implementing, because your conscious mind is what knows and understands, but your behavior and habits are always run by your subconscious, right? So when you really address that at the beginning, in the very first meeting session, people will understand that they have to listen to and then review multiple times throughout the day and the week. Got it? I want to go into the soul purpose map, but do you have any question? Do you have any question about? Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I've done a program similar to this in the past, but one of the things we included was a personal training component. Are these going to be people who are working out at Forma? Can we recommend, classes or training sessions as well?
So that's a good question. So we're gonna be promoting this to Forma members, and also I'll be doing webinar like this with the PowerPoint to capture outside of Forma. We might get people from East Coast, and then those people, when we do session, it's gonna be via Zoom call like this or phone call, whatever you choose to do. So those staff, we are not able to do any movement. But then, for instance, I don't want to limit to what you could do, what you cannot do, right? So I do have clients who are on the mindset training track that I do half and half and train movement, and then the other half do the more the mindset coaching stuff. You're welcome to choose what you feel the clients will get out of the most to get the result.
Okay, yeah, because it was very successful when we incorporated training.
Yeah.
As well, because they felt like they were working their bodies, and then of course working in their minds, and then meeting with the nutritionist. Was very helpful. And then the question about the nutritionist as well: is she a registered dietitian or just a nutritionist? Do you know if she's a registered dietitian as well?
she's a nutritionist. She's not a registered dietitian.
Okay.
But she knows more than anyone who I know. The reason that I say this is because she like she's a strong reader. Like she is reading all the new stuff all the time. Like when I took her class like 8 years ago, all the books that she assigned were less than 2 years old. And then she had like 10 of those, right? And her like I reach out to her often, what are you reading right now? And she just tells me, what she's reading. So basically she's really on top of the new information that's out there. The way that she's gonna be training people is that she's gonna be having a closed Facebook group, and then she is going to be publishing her new book that's coming out, and all the content of her module comes from that book, right? She's not going to be doing one-on-one coaching like this, but she's gonna work with people virtually, fully. Got it?
So when you say virtually, what does that mean?
So she's gonna be, when clients have a question to her, she's gonna respond it, and then she's going to have, from her book, full module is laid out, and there's gonna be an instruction how to use that and to practice. Because
so they're not at one-on-one session.
No.
Yeah, going over the high performance nutrition and seeing her crazy eating book in the Facebook group, and the four different modules, the nutrition side.
Yeah.
You can tell she's not the norm traditional nutritionist. She is more integrative nutrition, and it is all. You would go if you went to any doctor and said, "Oh, what's the keto diet?" They look at you like, "What?" and high plant fats and things like that, and they would tell you something completely reversed. So I understand that this nutritionist is not the mainstream. She's not the mainstream. She's very it's kind of alternative, and it's new, and it is something very different than the medical system.
Yeah.
Nutrition.
She's a strong believer of meat, but only grass fed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes, so let me go over the soul purpose map thing and how you can implement this. I sent this soul purpose map attaching to the email when I reminded this call, so it'll be useful if you have that map in front of you.
Is it possible to post it on the screen on your end? While you talk about it?
Sure.
I think there's a feature in here that just to make it easier, because this is where I have it on this tab.
Let me know when you see it. Can you see it?
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the soul purpose map, and this is the survival and creative brain. Let me explain this first. The left side, the brownish color, is called the survival brain. It's outside in and bottom up, right? So most people live outside in, letting the external information dictate how they feel. Usually it's a reaction, and that controls take over the conscious awareness. This is the reactive survival living. And most people who you meet as a client are living this survival brain lifestyle. The goal of every single mindset training is very simple: to help people shift from this survival to creative brain, to let the conscious awareness notice what's happening in their body and reaction, so they can visualize the end goal in mind and creating thoughts and feeling based on the result that they want, including changing their internal self-image, and then you impress upon your subconscious, you shift the frequency, and then things that in harmony with the body, the mind will come to you. That's upside down, top down, inside out. Yeah. So what is mindset training? Mindset training is a path to help people from living in a survival mode brain, reactive brain, to creative mind and brain. Yeah, it's that simple. And then we kind of went over this soul purpose map in the weekend workshop multiple times. Just to remind you, top to bottom is the arrow of being present in a moment. Left to right is the arrow of being on purpose. The two main basic challenges that we have is the fear and the habit. Fear comes from our conditioning in our early childhood, and habits come from conformity, because we want to be a part of the mass, not to feel left out, which is a part of forming our identity, because identity is always constructed through relationship. So it's a human nature to begin forming habits and autopilot and begin forming fear based on what we experience. The biology of fear, or I should say the function of fear, is embedded in the biology. I'm going to come back to this brain. The instinctual brain, the emotional brain, and the neocortex, this brain structure that people experience threat in outside world, and the instinct react, and the emotion creates certain emotion, and that tells that the outside is danger to the neocortex. This brain structure is a gift. Yeah, otherwise we cannot protect ourselves from the threat, right? But then what happens, the problem is that we start letting this structure take over. That's why we need mindfulness, right? So what I said was that the function of fear is embedded in our biology, but experience of fear is always a learned behavior. Yeah, that's why two people have two different types of fear. One person might feel fearful about something, but others might not. Like, let me give you an example. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was driving from my home to Berkeley at 6 a.m. And right before I was gonna cross the Bay Bridge, there was something in the middle of the road. I don't know what that is, right? But it was 6 a.m., right? And I almost felt like there was like a wine bottle or something, and I couldn't get around it, so I hit it, and then it got flat tire immediately, right? The only thing that I could do was to cross the bridge because I was too late to get out of any exit, right? So after that incident, anything that's on the road, I become really sensitive about it because of that experience, right? But not everyone has that, right? So the fear and the trauma and the reaction is always a learned behavior, right? Not everyone has the same fear. So, but when we begin understanding where the fear is coming from and how the fear is formed, we begin transforming. So fear is also coming from ignorance, not knowing what's causing. And the solution of that is to practice letting go, using awareness, and the fear becomes faith. Because when you really dive into fear, we start understanding that we're a part of the whole universal mind, part of nature, and we use being present in the moment to get out of fear. Yeah. And habitual behavior, we are a creature of habit, but if we have a clear direction of where we want to go, the purpose, and then when we become mindful, intentional, and making choices every single moment, you will not be habitual because you are on purpose. Yeah. And then when we have a purposeful life with a sense of presence, we can begin altering that survival mode of living that's driven by the ego to a creative lifestyle driven by soul, by originating thoughts, not letting influenced by outside, but creating from within. So the reason that I really like the soul purpose map is that when you work with clients, the language that people are using most of the time is on this survival mode, right? I don't have time is a survival mode language, right? And then you want to notice that people start talking about the external environment that's not working for them. The moment people start talking about that, they're in this survival mode. So our goal is through the session to begin taking people to this blue section, right? If you find people being really habitual, you want to begin guiding people using purpose intention to navigate towards the right. If people start talking about what they're worried about or what's not working, you want to navigate people to practice being present in the moment, to let go, increasing awareness. Does that make sense? So every single comment that your clients make has a certain position in this map. And then you can use the purpose or presence, intentional awareness, anything that's on the blue side to lead out of their current mode. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. And then you'll get used to it. And then I think both in Walnut Creek and San Jose, and then Christine, I'll share this with you, electronic version. Every single client who you are going to work with, you want to give this map. So
okay.
yeah.
Yes, I have it, and then you made me. You have a copy that you gave me in plastic.
Right, the laminated version. Yeah. Any question about these two maps?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You've done a really good job.
Good.
From the start on this, so.
I don't know who is the third or fourth person. I don't see the name. I don't see the face, but that's fine.
Kim's here.
Who is it? Kim?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I
wow.
got through Facebook.
Oh, cool. Were you gonna say something, Paul?
Yeah, I was going to say that the more stressed a person is living, the further to the left
Yeah.
they are in this, or top left, or, you know what I mean, further in that conditioning and fear response.
Yeah. So, Paul and Christine, Kim is my friend who directs the wellness program in Marin County Club, and I have worked with her a long time ago, and she this month she's teaching Pilates Reformer at Forma, but the main place is Marin County, and I think she's one of the, Christine, you just moved, but she's one of the first people who is kind of involved in this Jendo, not being local being Walnut Creek. So you will get to meet her Paul on the 15th.
Okay.
Yeah. Kim, Paul is a hypnotherapist, and then he teaches mindfulness stuff, and he came here, when was it? Maybe August or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Christine has training from Integrative Nutrition, Institute of Integrative Nutrition. She was in San Jose, but she just moved to, where did you exactly move, Christine?
Auburn.
Which is like north of Tahoe?
It's north of Sacramento.
Okay. But she thought that what we teach in Jendo is really in alignment with the integrative nutrition, and she's gonna be taking clients remotely, just like you will be doing.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if you don't have any question, that's it for today, and I'll be sending this as a recording, and if you could, kind of listen to a few times to get a feel of it. And then if you have any question, let me know. And we'll go from there. Next week, I have the call at 6 p.m. and we're going to be covering something different that we didn't cover today. But that's it. Thank you so much for joining, and look for the recording, please.
Okay, you can. What day is it next week?
Every week is Friday.
Every week on Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
So 4 o'clock today, 6 o'clock next week, 4 o'clock the following, and 6.
Okay.
And I'll send you the reminder.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. That's it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.